The Great Recession has impacted across the board, but it's especially impacted black communities, and I would add Latino communities, where the unemployment rates are high, almost 16% in the black community. The truth is that to a great extent, the patient is no longer in the emergency room, but in the recovery room. But the recovery which has begun is not complete, and it's not moving fast enough to create the number of jobs we need to provide opportunities for all of the unemployed. One of the reasons why we, in addition to saying that that's the case, we've continued to press our 12-point jobs plan, is because we think that there are indeed important steps that can be taken to create more jobs, to produce more jobs. We showcased today two small business owners, one in Cincinnati and one in Philadelphia, who have, through their own work, created new jobs and created new opportunities in those communities because of the help of Urban League affiliates. So people are not sitting on their hands. They're working, they're fighting back.
Education is a key component, according to President Obama. And we see in your jobs book, you talk about quality education. And we're having some problems understanding in the black community why there is not quality education, why the gap is not bridged when it comes to inner city schools, rural schools, minority schools compared to richer school districts. Do you really think that African Americans, Hispanics, minorities in general in urban, in rural areas can get that quality education when the gap is still there?
We have a legacy of a broken financing system for public schools in America, which heavily relies on property taxes and therefore the value of property in a given county or in a given school district. It's a broken system. That system needs to be fixed long term. But I would say this, that education and educating our kids is indeed a key long term. But in the short run, the job training program, the workforce investment program, which is an education program for adults, needs to be retooled, it needs to be fixed, it needs to be brought up to the 21st century, because there are many people out there who've historically worked. There are many people who the job market has changed. They need training, they need skills, they need a chance to qualify for some of the newer jobs of the 21st century. K through 12, pre-K through 12 is key long term, but let's not forget the workforce system, which is why fixing the workforce system is one of the ideas in our 12-point plan.
Retraining, recertification for older adults, is that necessarily the necessity that we're hearing?
I think more emphasis has to be placed on it, April. I'm very concerned that these budget cuts being proposed by the House Congressional Majority would kill jobs, hurt jobs, destroy jobs, 500 to 700,000 to be exact. This is not the time. You can't dance on one hand, the dance of let's repair our schools, let's improve education, and then on the other hand, in the dark of the night, go back and go out and cut Pell Grants and cut Title I funds. So we have to make sure that we have our priorities straight, and that in the sort of rush to cut the budget, we don't do things that are going to damage people and damage jobs.
Now, I'm going to give you your book, and I want you to hold your book, State of Black America, Jobs, Rebuild America. This is an old country, and rebuilding this country is part of the problem. And a lot of jobs are not, a lot of construction jobs are going to be needed, but I mean, is there really the capital for this country to be rebuilt?
I think there's the capital if there's a priority. I mean, we've doubled the size of the military. Defense spending has doubled in a less than 10-year period. It's an example of what the nation did in response to a call and a need to respond to foreign threats. Whether one agrees with it or not, the bottom line is we doubled the nation doubled, the Bush administration doubled the size of the military budget in less than 8 years. I say going forward, we have to have a new focus and a new priority on rebuilding the nation, on building the broadband, the information superhighway, the smart grid, on manufacturing and building things in this country. We've got to re-energize our economy, and we've got to recognize that it's going to take a combination of government and the private sector to do it together.
When's the last time you talked to President Obama, particularly about this state of Black America?
Probably at our conference last summer. We had a great chance this morning, though, to hear from Bill Daley, his new chief of staff. I've met with him once, and we've had two meetings, if you will, in the short 6 to 8 weeks he's been on the job. We think he's been abundantly accessible, as has been Valerie Jarrett, Hilda Solis, Arnie Duncan, Sean Donovan, a number of the leaders, Melody Barnes. We've had, from his staff team and his cabinet team, we've had very productive dialogue with them over the last several weeks and the last several months about a wide variety of issues.
And lastly, gas prices are crippling all pocketbooks, but particularly minority pocketbooks, urban areas. What say you about the volatility with oil in the Middle East and how it affects back home?
I've never fully understood the volatility of gas prices, but one of the things I do know is that the nation needs an energy plan, a long-term plan. We need a combination of traditional oil and gas, natural gas, solar, wind, and alternative forms. We have to get our house in order and have a coherent plan. What troubles me is the idea that you're going to either have alternative energy or traditional energy. I think the Urban League believes we need both. Every time we turn on a cell phone, we're using electricity that comes from fossil fuels or some other form, hydroelectric power. We're going to need electricity to power the technology of the future, and that's why I think we need a long-term energy plan. So we're concerned about these gas prices, particularly in the winter, because it's a necessity for people to have heat in the winter.
Minorities aren't necessarily into this green economy and this green energy going to solar power and wind power, and I guess that's where recertification and retraining comes in. What would you say to...
It's really important that Black and Latino people don't allow a green divide to get bigger. We can't believe that this is not for us. It is for us because it's for everyone. These are going to be the jobs. We'd hate to see all the solar panels on mansions in the suburbs and people who live in the urban communities still have high utility bills because they haven't made their houses energy efficient or because we haven't had an initiative to make apartments and rental properties energy efficient. We've got to really, really recognize that at the end of the day, the green economy is about jobs. It's also about saving money from your household budget if it is done right and it's done properly. So we can't let this go by. We can't think this is not an issue for us. It is.